Yes, now we are going to the, okay, and here. So we are reading Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7.
Chapter 7.
We
Yes.
left, last time we left at verse 5.
Yes, but I think it was an interesting discussion at the end because we spoke of Prakriti and the Para and the Apara Prakriti.
Yeah.
And I think you clarified that there is the supreme material energy rather than superior, supreme and then not supreme material energy.
Yeah.
So we talked about the Para and the Apara Prakriti, and I think, let me, a mistake that I made when I read chapter 7 was in the subsequent verses, Mataji, because Krishna then talks in a very descriptive manner about, him being the heat in the fire, the original fragrance of the earth. And, I had this penny drop moment when you discussed this Prakriti, Para and Apara Prakriti, because Krishna is linking the spiritual to the material when he's describing, I am the taste of water, I am the heat in the fire. And it was only then when you explained this that I realized that there is the linkage between the spiritual world and the material world.
Yeah, because water is material. Yeah, by definition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's when I had that sort of penny drop moment. So let's carry on with this this theme as we move into chapter 7.
Yeah, very good. Actually, as we were saying, the lower and higher are relative terms because they both belong to the same person. They are the same person. So we have like different parts of the body is always the body. But the lower Prakriti is the material nature, which is consisting of the three gunas and the 8 elements. So the material manifestations. And then we have the spiritual Prakriti, which is the spiritual nature that it consists of all the Atman, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, which also includes the Shakti. Now, as you very correctly said, this Shakti is divine. So even in the material elements, we see the Brahman, we see the higher Prakriti, the higher Shakti. So why? Because again, as the quantum physics has recently highlighted, discovered, and proved, the matter is a manifestation of energy, and energy is a manifestation of consciousness. So consciousness being the spiritual energy, so matter is just a transformation of the spirit. It doesn't exist independently or separately. It's the same spirit. It's all Brahman, it's all spirit. Now,
yes,
as you correctly said, you got this epiphany that even in the material elements, in material manifestations, the spirit is still the essence, is still the origin, is still the support, the actual identity. That's why it's so fascinating to actually understand how reality functions, what is the nature of reality, which is ostensibly the purpose of philosophy and theology. Unfortunately, as long as we are plagued by the illusion of duality, we are in trouble. because we cannot see the unity. This is the main problem. Duality is not a genuine, bona fide school of thought in Hinduism, in Vedic thought. It's an illusion. You know, whether it is a functionally useful illusion, it's a different thing, but it's still an illusion. And this is confirmed by Krishna all along Bhagavad Gita. Now, after Krishna has mentioned the para prakriti, meaning the apara prakriti, meaning the eightfold, the old 8 elements and the gunas and all the material aggregate that we also call the mahatattva. And he also mentioned the para prakriti, the spiritual energy, the supreme or spiritual, the original, supreme in the sense that it is the origin of the other. Like the material energy, Mahamaya is a form of Yogamaya. It's not separate, it's not a different person, it's not a different entity.
And this links very nicely with Krishna saying, I am the taste of water. I am the heat of the fire, because he is telling us, it can't be more clear. I mean, I don't like to use the word epiphany because that brings Abrahamic connotations, but I prefer to stick with the more bland.
Okay, realization. Okay.
Penny drop moment. I think that even realization might be a bit too strong, but penny drop moment where you perhaps start to think, actually, the whole point of chapter 7, you've got this beautiful chapter 6 where Krishna talks about focus and meditation, and then he speaks in chapter 7 of his energies. But what he's telling us to do is, please don't separate in a dualistic manner the material from the spiritual. The spiritual is still in the material, I guess.
Yeah, still here Krishna is saying, know that all the things and beings come from these two matrices. I am the origin. Thus, I am the origin of the creation and the destruction of the entire universe. So, lots of people, they are talking about the Trimurti, the three deities, but they don't understand that, God is one, is the Supreme Brahman. So, it is the reality behind and under and everywhere, of the all existence. So it's not only the transcendental in the sense that it is it's another problem. The attachment to duality has convinced scholars that God can either be transcendent or immanent. That God can be, either monotheistic or polytheistic. There is no reconciliation of the opposites. But that is the illusion of duality, because God is all these things. So, say, I am the origin of the creation and the destruction of the entire universe. O Dhananjaya Arjuna, there is absolutely nothing superior to me. Everything rests on me like pearls are strung on a thread. Just like the quote from the Upanishad that you sent me yesterday, it says, Katha Upanishad 1, 3, 10, and 11. Yamaraj explains to Nachiketa, beyond the senses are the sense objects. Beyond the, param means not only beyond, but higher or more powerful or more original, more primal, as the origin. So, beyond the senses are the sense objects. the sense objects are not what we think the sense objects are. Because people think that the sense objects are the actual pieces of matter that we move here and there. We see and we touch and we taste.
Yes.
Yeah. But the sense objects in this verse of the Upanishad are the ontological principles of the perception. For example, of a flower, the sense object is not the flower itself. It's the perception of the flower. Is the subtle or ontological existence of the flower, the idea of the flower, not the flower itself.
That's the sense object.
Yeah.
It's your...
the sense object is the sound. For the hearing, it is the sound. Not any specific sound. It's the ontological concept of the sound. It could be any type of sound. It doesn't matter. The sense object is the sound, the taste. Like Krishna says, I am the taste of the water. Krishna doesn't say, I am the water.
Yes, absolutely. To be honest, Mataji, for many years, both as a young man and as an adult, I skimmed over this chapter without understanding this.
Yeah. Okay, sure, no problem.
Anyway, yeah, please carry on.
So, the sense objects are the foundation, the cause for the senses. Not the other way around. Beyond these sense objects like sound, touch, taste, and so on, is the mind. Because the mind can manage, create, control the sense objects. The mind can call them back, they can recall them, notice them, manage them. That means it is superior. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I think you remember that verse, that the mind is superior to the senses. And the intelligence is superior to the mind, and the Atman is superior to the intelligence.
Yes, it's a very famous verse.
Yeah.
Again, one can skim over.
Exactly. When we don't have the actual understanding, it remains locked.
It's really interesting that you say that, because just yesterday, I was reading the commentary on the Katha Upanishad, and what someone said was really interesting. I don't know if you agree with this, that the mind is defined as unorganized thoughts, whereas intellect is defined as organized thoughts. Do you agree with that?
Not really. The mind is a material element. It's not the thoughts. The thoughts are the contents of the mind and the intellect. So the principle is, I understand what they were trying to say, but I would say the mind is the element that processes any thoughts. It's not the thought itself.
So it's almost like a thought processor.
Yes, it's the acting factor. It's the acting element that processes the thoughts. While
it's in effect a thought machine, a thought processor.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like a food processor.
Yeah, exactly. While the intellect or intelligence, the buddhi, is the function, is the element that actually understand the thoughts. In that sense, the commentary that you were mentioning, that passage that you were mentioning, is, talking about something actually true. But, we should not confuse the mind and the manas and the buddhi with the thoughts. That is the mistake they made.
Yes.
So
but you can see what they're trying to
I can see what they're trying to say. They're trying to say that when we talk about the mind doesn't understand the thoughts. So they're confused that, the raw material, they just moved the thoughts here and there, while the intellect penetrates the thoughts and uses them, consciously. Yes. That's why intelligence is superior to the mind, is the origin of the mind. The mind is a function of the intelligence.
Yes.
Just like in the process of creation, first you have the ahankar, and then the ahankar develops the buddhi, and the buddhi develops the mind develops the akash, and the akash develops the vayu, and the vayu develops the jal, and so on, the fire, sorry, and then, each element develops the next, which means that the earliest elements are superior. They're beyond the subsequent ones. You see the point?
I do indeed. And it's actually the order of the koshas as well.
Exactly the same. Yeah. The Anandamaya kosha is developing the Vijnanamaya kosha, manifesting the Vijnanamaya kosha. Vijnanamaya kosha is manifesting the Manomaya kosha. The Manomaya kosha is manifesting the Pranamaya kosha. And the Pranamaya kosha is manifesting the Annamaya kosha. Because you can take, you can put food in a dead body and it doesn't, grow cells. It doesn't assimilate the food because the prana is not there.
Yes, absolutely.
So each element, and kosha and guna as well, because from sattva rajas comes, and rajas creates tamas. So the material manifestation is a process in which things become denser, more, more impactful on the material, the gross level. Like you are hit by a bit of wind. It's not the same as being hit by a bit of rocks and stones.
Yes.
Like, oh, there is more impact. Although the previous original factor is more powerful, but we, in a material body, we are not very capable of perceiving them. We perceive the gross body more than we can perceive the mind. And we can perceive the mind, more easily than we can perceive the spirit, the Atman. So, the purpose of the creation of the material world through the manifestation of the material elements from the spirit, because they're not coming from matter. Doesn't come from matter. Matter comes from spirit. This is a very old point. People think, modern science, so-called science, thinks that spirit comes from matter. Life comes from the combination of chemicals. No. No. The chemicals, the combinations of chemicals is produced by the life. Otherwise, it does. Matter doesn't appear. Matter doesn't appear from the void, from the nothingness. Life comes from life. Matter comes from life. It's a transformation of life. It's a transformation of energy. Energy is a transformation of consciousness. So, this is something that many people still have to comprehend, even in the scientific world.
Yes.
Thanking God we have quantum physics that has opened a lot of doors and windows and, ways of understanding things that are completely baffling to most of the people who think that they know science.
Well, it's really interesting that you talk about this. And we've talked about this before because in medicine we have the placebo effect, where people think they're getting better through a tablet that is basically, or an intervention that is basically a sham.
No, I make believe. Let's say make believe.
So it's consciousness that often determines.
Exactly. But that is also the real medicine experts. They say that whatever we can do is just helping nature, the body, to heal itself. We cannot heal the body. It's the body that heals itself. We can only support that healing. Lots of people, don't understand that, but some people actually understand it. It's actually nature that is doing everything. It's not us. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Prakrite kriyamanani guna karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. It's only the confused, ignorant, self that thinks, oh, I am doing this, I am doing that. But in fact, all activities are performed by the Prakriti, guna. The gunas and the elements. The body itself is fixing itself. It reacts to medicines, but of course, it's not that you can just think yourself into health. But it depends. It's all, whatever we can do is only helping, trying to stimulate, to trigger, but the actual work is done by nature.
Yes, and that actually brings us nicely to the next verses.
So everything rests on me, and everything, of course, is coming from the Brahma. Okay, then let's go on and say, exactly. Rasaham Apsukantaya. Osano Kunti, I am the taste of water, the radiance of the moon and the sun. I am the Pranama Omkara in all Vedas. I am sound in space and capability in human beings. Paurusham. So, that's the origin. So, as we said, taste is a sense object. So, the taste of water is superior to the elements. The sense object is superior to the elements.
I always assumed that the sense object was the water.
No. the taste.
It's the taste.
Yeah, because the sense of taste is not taste. Is what senses the taste. I don't know if I'm explaining the concept.
No, you are. I completely get it.
Okay, good. Yeah, because, it's a subtle difference, but it's a difference. It's just like saying that the mind is a thought. No. The mind is processing the thought, is containing, carrying the thought, but the mind is not the thought. Okay. Same, the radiance of the moon and the sun. It's the radiance, it's the light, it's not, it doesn't matter if the moon is reflecting the light of the sun. It doesn't really matter. It's a radiance, it's a light that matters. The Pranava Omkara in all the Vedas, this is interesting because the Pranava Omkara is both the Brahman in the form of sound and and as such is the origin of all sounds, of all the mantras, of all the stutis and the rigs and everything. And just after that, Krishna says, I am sound in space. What does that mean?
Well, this is, I really want to ask you, what you've just said now, even if we spend the rest of this half an hour talking about that, we've achieved a lot, because what I like to understand, Mataji, is Om is often used when everyone speaks of Hinduism.
Yeah.
And what's Krishna talked about here? I'd love for you to expand on this, if that makes sense.
Okay, let's see how we can actually expand on this, because it's okay.
What I'd like to understand is he mentions Omkara, doesn't he, effectively there? And we know Om is the sound of the universe. For those of you listeners, would you mind just explaining where Om comes from? Because everyone says it's the vibration of the universe, the sound of the universe, the origin of everything. What exactly is being referred to?
Yeah, well, Krishna is explaining, I'm sound in space. All the Vedas in chapter 15, the Purushottama Yoga, Krishna will explain that this universe is a banyan tree that is the Vedic knowledge. And Vedic knowledge is a manifestation, both material and spiritual, and it's all manifesting from the Pranava Omkara, from the Brahman. The point is, the sound is, as we were just saying now, is the sense object that creates the element of space. In the first stage of creation, you remember, everything starts from Shabda Brahman.
Yes, it's that I wanted you to talk about.
Yes, exactly. I'm explaining. So, the Shabda Brahman is the sound form of Brahman, which is energy, which is consciousness, which is the origin of everything, because space, Akash, is the first material element from which all the other material elements develop. And sound is the basis for knowledge, for the transmission of knowledge, is the basis for the creation of the elements. It's a vibrational frequency, because sound is not just what we hear with our eardrums. Sound is all, all forms of vibrations. Yeah.
Are you saying that the sound is the origin of everything?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Okay.
People use that.
Yeah, The Vedic science explains that there are 3 levels of sound. The physical sound that we hear with our eardrums is the gross form of sound. This is in the science of mantras, this is also very important to understand. So when we chant a mantra in an audible manner, This is the gross form of the mantra. But the gross form of the mantra is supported, origin and is originated from the subtle form of the mantra. The subtle sound is more powerful than the physical sound. That's why it is said that when we recite, we chant the mantra mentally or in a very low voice, that is called japa, and it is more powerful than pronouncing it loudly. Because it's the origin of it's a param, it's superior, is more original, is more primeval, it's the origin of the physical sound. And the third level of the sound is the spiritual sound. That is even more subtler than the mental sound.
So, is there a name for these three levels of sound? You mentioned.
Yeah, there are names. I don't remember now, but yeah, there are. They have technical names. I think it's Saririka, Manasika, Bodhika, whatever. I think.
Yeah. People should understand that there's three levels of
sound. Yeah, but we can describe them with the English equivalents, which
So let's just get this right. There's the audible sound.
Yeah.
There's the subtle nature of the sound. And then on top of that, there is a more spiritual nature.
It is the spiritual nature of the sound that is the ontological existence of the sound, which is eternal. It's like the spirit compared to the mind and to the body. Again, the consciousness or energy, the spiritual aspect, of the existence and reality is the origin and support for the subtle reality, for the mind. Because without the consciousness, the mind cannot be aggregated. It will be all over the place because it's a material element. And similarly, without the spirit and the mind, the physical body cannot stay together because it's made of elements, and material elements are all over the place. It's the aggregation that is done through energy, through consciousness. Now, we have three levels of consciousness. Again, we have the physical consciousness that is, when you go and bump into a wall, you feel it. You're conscious that you bumped into the wall because you felt it physically. Okay. Then we have the mental level of consciousness that there is a wall. It's a mental process. You perceive it with the mind. You know there is a wall. And then we have the ontological, spiritual, transcendental level that what a wall is. The wall is an eternal concept, while the mental concept of the wall can be there, cannot be there, can come and go. It's not a problem. And the physical wall is even more temporary. The actual existence is the Sat, Chit, Ananda, which is the Pranava, which is God, which is Brahman, which is Atman. The Pranava is the Sat, Chit, Ananda, is that which exists and is made of consciousness and it's made of happiness, because that's what we are, what we're looking for. It's all the Vedas, both in the material knowledge and in the spiritual knowledge, are meant to help us find happiness. So there we have the Satchitananda. and Anuswara. Om.
So when Krishna says, "I am the sound in space,"
Yeah.
is that space what is referred to as ether?
Yeah, the Akash, exactly. Yeah.
In the Gita.
Yeah, it's not the radio frequency out in Antariksha. It's not.
No, it's effectively, people think that space is a vacuum. But in essence, it isn't.
They don't understand. Yeah, here, K. K is the Akash. K is just like Jala and what is the other name of the water? It can be described with similar, with synonyms. But K is the Akash. Okay.
Yes.
And Purusham Rishu. Now, the Purusham is interesting because the best way to translate is capability, but it's not, it's not easy to translate because it's a derivative of the word Purusha. The Paurusham is the quality of being Purusha. The quality of being Purusha means the quality of being able to perceive, is consciousness. So this capability is whatever develops from consciousness. It's not the level of skills. It's the potential, not the skills.
Yes. I grasp that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. No, because otherwise we think that because someone is skilled, then that's divine, and not necessarily. Skills are also part of the Purusham, but they're not limited to that. Okay. Then Rasa, blah blah, the Brahmajyoti, Pranava Omkara. Pranava means of the prana. It refers to the fact that the Omkara, the sound Om, is a fundamental sound of the energy, subtle life air that constitutes the magnetic field of the living organism, as is created by the Atman in the body. All sounds are created from the basic sound Om, which makes speech and communication and knowledge possible. Okay. Okay. So human beings in the universe. So 9. I am the good, the pure smell in earth. Punya Gandha, the good smell. I am the heat in fire. I am life in all beings, and I'm austerity in ascetics. Tapas in tapas vishu. So Krishna is talking about the essence, the ontological reality, the origin, the reason, the definition for the existence. Is that clear?
Yes, absolutely. Good. And there is this real linkage, Mataji, between the material and the spiritual, as you're saying. It's almost as if it's a continuum.
It is a continuum. Actually, the matter is just a manifestation of the spirit. It's the same Maya. Only Yoga Maya, creates the Mahamaya effect, so that we can be grounded in a physical reality and learn how to control our minds. That's the purpose. That's a school. That's the like the kindergarten. It's a way for the jiva, the jivatma, the anuatma to develop. Through the easily perceivable, and manageable elements. Okay. Next. Upartha, know that I am the eternal seed of all existences. Yeah, the seed means what? The origin, whatever contains all the manifestations. I am intelligence in the intelligent. What is intelligent without intelligence? Like what? I am the powerful radiance in the powerful, the tejas, the power of the powerful. So the powerful is not powerful without the power. Oops. So it's not many people stop and think about that. Okay. O best of the Bharata dynasty, I am the strength of the strong, who is free from lust, selfishness, and attachment. Balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam. So the strength must be dharmic. Otherwise it becomes degraded, distorted. So that is the origin of the strength. It's not just the end product that has gone through all the sewage, discharge. It's the original, like Krishna is saying, punya gandhas, the pure smell of the earth. It's not the stink. Yeah,
you can see it. You can see it when you can feel it when it rains. There's definitely that.
When the earth is clean, though, because if you go near the sewage, discharge, that's also earth. But yes, it's not punya. So in the same way, we have to go back to the source, to the origin. So the strength of the strong, originally in its purest form, is free from kama and raga, from desire and attachment. But what is this desire? It's the selfish desire, not the general desire. So, of course, when you want to do something good, you need a desire, which in bhakti terms is called lalasamai. But it's not a selfish desire. You see the difference. It's not kama.
Yes.
It's a spiritual kama. It's a pure kama. Okay. In all beings, and here we come, talking about kama. In all beings, the sexual desire that is not contrary to dharma. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bhartarshama. Still, the kama is not bad. So Krishna was saying, okay, I am the strength of the strong who is free from kama. But kama is not a bad thing in itself. Even kama means desire, in a sense, selfish desire, which is the prompt for action in all beings. But it is pure when it is not opposite, contrary to dharma. So we have the basic principles of dharma, which are satyam, dayam, socham, and tapas. It means that kama is pure when it is sincere, honest, when it's not deceitful or cheating or manipulating or whatever. It must be satyam, it must be truthful. Then it must be compassionate. Karma that is not compassionate, that is not based on love and affection and true desire to make, to create happiness everywhere, not selfishly. Okay. Then daya, compassion, kindness. Okay. Then socha means cleanliness. It's clean. It's normal. I don't know if you have seen the temple in Khajuraho or in Konark. They have all these Maithuna depictions, and one thing that struck me very, very deeply is that if you look at the facial expressions of these figures, they are so peaceful and serene and happy and joyful. They're not agitated. They're not suffering. They're not, in a fit of lust, in a lusty rage. And sometimes, human beings can go there, But it is serene, it's happy, it's healthy, it's sattvic. It's a kind of karma, Maithuna, that is not based on tamas and rajas, it's based on sattva. So, socham, it's clean. There's no point. It's not nasty, especially, the Anglo-Saxon, American mentality of the nasty, do the nasty. Seriously? Yeah, of course, then you end up as you are, because you think it's nasty. And every human being is born through that. So, with Garbhadhana Samskara, the purpose is to, focus the level of consciousness of the parents so that the proper soul can be, can be given a good start in life. If you think you're doing the nasty, just imagine what kind of soul will come. what will be the beginning of the life for that child? And tapas means self-control. Means there are moments, there are times and places and rules of engagement. It's not that you do whatever you want, but it's it can be managed. So this is karma that is not dharma viruddha, aviruddha, dharma aviruddha, that is not contrary to dharma. Okay, so this is clearer.
Yes.
Okay. Then, okay, you should know that certainly all those forms of existence created by sattva, rajas, and also tamas come from me, but I'm not in them. Rather, they are in me.
See, this creates some confusion.
Yeah.
Because people then get some, they sometimes struggle to understand, what's Krishna saying? I am not in them, but they are in me. They don't quite understand what he's saying there sometimes, basically.
It means that all the various forms of existence are a secondary manifestation of Brahman. All the material forms that are supported by the Brahman, the existence of Brahman, by Satchidananda, are a secondary manifestation of Brahman. In the sense that because Krishna is the seed. So you cannot find Krishna in water. Okay, let's say. No. I'm not in them.
Did you know what I thought? Did you know what the analogy I thought for this was like?
Okay.
The twig is not the tree. The twig is
not the tree. Yes, totally. I like that.
The twig is not the tree, but
it is in the tree.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it is in the tree. But the tree is not in the twig.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I thought of to describe.
Yeah. It's perfectly correct. The whole is not in the part. Although, as Sri Upanishad is saying also, a number of Upanishads from the same Sanghita, they're saying that the Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam, Purnamudachate, that all the complete units are emanating from the complete, and the complete still remains the complete even after all these emanations. So in the sense that Krishna is the tree, is the seed of the tree. The seed in the complete non-manifested form. Because of course the seed, materially speaking, is not a big thing, but we have to see the causality, the power, the potency, the potential, the ontological concept, of the complete tree. Okay, this is clear, huh? Then we can go on. Under the conditions of existence created by the three gunas, this world does not understand me, as I am inexhaustible and transcendental. Yeah, because the gunas are still material elements.
Yeah, the twig in the tree being a prime example.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's a very good example, actually. This divine energy and mind, manifesting as the three gunas, is very difficult to overcome, but those who take shelter in me can cross over this illusion. Which means, what is the meaning of taking shelter? Prapadyante, approach. But how they approach? Not, by walking. By applying our intelligence, or the Buddhi Yoga.
Well, it's interesting, Mataji, because there's lots of people who use this word shelter a lot when discussing quote-unquote spirituality. And to be honest, I've never really understood what they say. Take shelter in the guru, take shelter in this and that, and I'm kind of thinking, what are you talking about? Is it like me sheltering under a roof when it's in the middle of a thunderstorm or something, in the middle of a rainstorm or something?
Yeah, because
what exactly does that word mean, Mataji?
Yeah, actually here the word is propadyante. So propada, propadam, it's going near, becoming near, approaching. Taking shelter, the actual taking shelter is not coming from fear. Should not come from fear, should come from understanding. Like Krishna is saying, Dadami buddhi yogam tam, yena mam upayanti te. That they come to me, not, by hiding under a roof or walking, to the temple or whatever. But trying to understand, through the Buddhi Yoga, through the actual realization. If we approach, the Param Brahman through our intelligence, through the Buddhi Yoga, then we can go beyond the material understanding, the material perception, because we know that it is a temporary perception. The gunas and the karmas are constantly changing. What is not changing is the Brahman, the Atman Brahman. So we take shelter in what is not changing. Like, as Adi Shankar said, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. In the sense that it's not that the universe is a lie, doesn't exist, or wants to cheat you, it's made so you suffer, it's a prison. No, it's just not real in the sense that it's constantly changing. The three gunas are constantly changing. That's why Krishna is saying, we say, Naishtragunyo bhava. Go beyond the gunas. We can use the gunas. Gunas also means rope, right?
But can I also ask you whether, when he says take shelter, take shelter in me, does that not mean the process of Atman realization?
Yeah.
Is that not what he's saying?
Yeah, because if you realize Atman, you realize Brahman. If you realize Brahman, you realize Bhagavan. If you don't realize Atman and you don't realize Brahman, how can you realize Bhagavan?
Because I only say that because you, the word, that you've used for shelter here, pra, is also linked to, isn't it also linked to surrender as well, Mataji?
Prapatti, Prapatti.
Yeah, so that's that first pra is linked to almost surrender. And when we've talked about surrender, we've talked about realizing that we are Atman. So therefore,
surrendering, taking shelter, approaching, trusting, focusing, meditating, serving, whatever. It's a way of approaching, means focusing.
Yeah.
Realizing.
It's the consciousness of activity that is the key here, isn't it?
Yep. It's not a physical act of self-humiliation.
Yeah, that's what I got confused with. I thought it's like sheltering under a roof from the rain.
No.
But it's not quite that.
Not exactly, because in fact, in a sense, when we focus on the transcendental level, the Param Brahman, we are also protected. But protected by what? In which way? From what? It's not that we are never going to get any problem in life. This is the magic mentality, the superstitious mentality that, if we pray God, everything will be okay. Like we are going to pass the exam, we're going to, that's not because God is giving us a special favor. It's because while we pray and meditate on God, we get the strength, the encouragement, the inspiration to do our best. It's not a roof, it's an inspiration. It's a different thing. We are protected, but not because, God comes down with an umbrella. Sometimes, as a lila, he can do that. It's not a problem. But that's not the main meaning. It's not something that has to, manifest all the time. It's a symbolic gesture if actually God comes down with the umbrella, like in the Govardhana Lila, But that's a symbol. It's not that we, every time it rains, we are expecting Gopal to come with the Govardhan hill. You understand?
Absolutely. But like from the neophyte point of view, like I again read this, and shelter is something that you think, it's just sheltering from the rain, but it's much more profound.
Oh, definitely.
It's much more profound conceptually than that. And obviously, the gunas, the twig analogy that we've used, the twig in the tree sort of description, I think fits in perfectly into. Because this verse causes a lot of confusion.
It causes a lot of confusion because in chapter 7 you're supposed to have gone through all the other chapters, and you're supposed to have realized that we are not the body.
Yes, absolutely. So, but I think why this chapter is so important. Because I'm conscious we've reached the end of the hour, so to speak. But the reason why this chapter is so important, Mataji, is because it links the material with the spiritual.
Yeah.
And I know, obviously, for someone like yourself, this is what you've been raised with. But for someone like us, me,
I've been raised means what? Sorry. No. Wait. Whoa. I think we have some misunderstanding here. You think that I've been raised God consciousness and you haven't?
No, what I'm saying.
Okay, because it sounded like that.
No, what I'm saying is that like you have been, for you, this has been your sort of, I hate to use the word daily bread, but in the sense you've been.
Oh yeah, no, it has been my daily bread, yeah, but because I chose to do it, not because I was raised by someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
No, not raised in the sense that you've been raised in.
Yeah, because as you know, I was born in an Italian Catholic family, which had absolutely no idea of how to raise anything. Yeah.
No,
spiritually speaking.
Of course, but what I'm saying is that this, you've studied this and you've been practicing. Whereas,
why not you? Come on.
It's easy to
skim
over stuff like this.
Yeah, well, we all have our personal journey that I agree with that.
Indeed. But I'm saying I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for your for your for showing this
input,
translation of the Gita, because it's very easy. It's so easy to skim over these verses and not understand what
the actual
meaning
being
said.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can tell you I've read this 100 times without understanding the true essence of what is being said. It's very, what I'm saying, Mataji, it's very easy for someone like me to skim over this and not.
Oh, it's easy for everyone, anyone. It's because, we take things, at face value, superficially.
Yes.
Because we are used to see the world on the material level. So we read, we think, this is the page we're reading Gita, these are the words, okay, I read the Gita.
Yes, 100%. But also I certainly did, I carried a dualistic projection
that's
into
the point.
the Gita. Yeah. And that's where I went wrong, if that makes sense, Mataji.
Oh, definitely. The dualistic illusion is very common to all the human beings who have a body, and they tend to see this is me and this is not me. Because if you hit your foot with a hammer, that's you. If you hit the stone that is near to your foot with the same hammer, that's not you.
Yes.
So that is dualistic. Yeah.
But when I sort of read things like "I am the taste of water" and the heat of the fire, you can read these very quickly without understanding the significance behind it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get at, Mataji.
Yeah, that comes sometimes. In fact, if you were raised in let's say in a Hindu environment when people think they know Gita or they think they know Krishna, that might be a disadvantage.
Well, I'm looking at it not from a Hindu or non-Hindu. I'm looking at it from either a dualistic environment or a
but what you were saying is that we skim over because mostly in many cases because we think we know what it means.
Yes.
So we don't stop and try to understand because everybody knows that Krishna is God.
Also, you hear priests and pastors and people like that in conventional television saying similar things. So you almost assume that it's being said in this frame of mind without actually understanding the true significance. I guess that's again an observation.
Definitely. Yeah. I agree. That I totally agree on.
So when I say difference in raised, I don't mean raised in the family. I meant the consciousness in which you've been raised in.
We can say, developed.
Yes.
Rather than raised, because raising is, it implies someone raising you.
No, 100%.
Yeah, when you say you have been raised, means someone raised you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay. Otherwise, if you say you have risen, that's different. To rise is different from being raised.
No.
Okay, but no. I mean, I like semantic hygiene. So because sometimes we can get confused. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's a bit like trivial and triviale, like you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It can cause a lot of confusion. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because when people use the word raised, they mean literal raised, whereas I'm talking not about the person who raised, but the milieu in which you have evolved.
It's the same. It's the same thing.
Yes.
People who raised you are the milieu.
Yes.
What I'm talking is the individual work that you do. It's not something that is done to you, either by other people or by the environment. That is not the point. The point is that you choose. You put the work. You understand the difference?
It's an individual. 100%.
Yes. That's the difference. That's the difference between rising and being raised. Yeah.
Yes, the word raised deflects responsibility in essence, doesn't it, Mataji? That's the point, really, isn't it?
Raised, irresponsibility means someone else did it to you.
Yes, 100%. Could not agree more.
Okay, no problem.
Chapter 7's been a wonderful
Excellent
discussion. Look forward to
the next installment.
That for the next installment. So thank you, my patience to you. And
Jai Shimanarayana. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Jai.
Thank you, Jai.